Now today's video for you is how to paint a basic landscape in watercolour just by using those 3 primary colours. So let's get the brushes wet and make a start. Let's start off with the yellow, so lemon yellow hue. Let's get a bit of water in these, shall we? Water them down a little bit. I want some more to a milky consistency. Then we've got the Scarlet Lake, and then finally we've got the French ultramarine, or the ultramarine blue, or ultramarine, whatever you want to call it. Let's grab a size 4 brush. I'm going to start off with the yellow first of all. So I'll pop the yellow on the paper and we'll see what colours we can make here from these 3 primary colours. I'm not going to go too mad on this, but you can make so many variations of these colours as well. We'll make a green, so we'll start off with a small amount of blue. First of all, I can just fade that down to kind of a very lime green at the end there, and just sort of a normal sort of deeper green right at the very top like that. And that's a very quick way of making a nice green. Now you have to remember as well, these 3 colours, just the 3 I've got here at the moment, they can have other blues like indigo instead of French ultramarine, Gambo hue instead of lemon yellow, alizarin crimson, a deeper red, rather than the Scarlet Lake. So it all depends on the colours you've got in your painting kit. If you've got more than 1 red, more than 1 blue and more than 1 yellow, then try all of those out and see what colours that you can make with your paints. But let's try, for example, let's go with some red. Make a purple. It's a very basic colour mix in this, isn't it? It really is. And with that red, I'm going to go for a little bit of blue straight in there. I'm not going to bother washing the brush out. What am I like? Oh, I don't know. And straight away, let's turn slightly sort of purplish, but it's not enough. A bit more blue. Now, you can see straight away, the more blue we add to the top here, the deeper the colour will get, and the more purple that colour will become as well. That's a lovely purple colour coming off there. I want a darker colour, probably even a brown or even a black. To do that, what I can mix is Scarlet Lake, like this lot, a little bit of French ultramarine. You really need the paints thicker for black though. This will end up being more brown than black. And then, wash your brush out before you go in the yellow though. It's quite a light colour that, isn't it? Bit of yellow. A little bit less. Mix that in and see what we get from that. That's quite a nice chocolatey brown there, isn't it? Oh, I do like that. Well, quite a red brown as well. But if you try that with indigo instead of French ultramarine, you find it's a different brown. So it depends on the blues and the reds and the yellows, as I mentioned, that you use, will vary the outcome of those mixes. As you can see with this colour here, this is a mixture of yellow, blue and red again, but making more of an olive colour just by varying how much of each colour I use. This is one I did earlier, and you can see from this one, we've got Scarlet Lake and lemon yellow with indigo, and that gives us a really dark colour, again mixed to a creamy consistency. When we use indigo, you can see we've got a different brown there as well, rather than using ultramarine blue. So I'm going to go straight from the tube now. So French ultramarine, straight from there. Look at that. Oh, that's really thick. Oh. You want it creamy more than thick, really. Let's put that on the paper. Then the Scarlet Lake, straight from the tube again. Get that coming out. Oh, yeah. Oh. Come out, come out, come out. That's really thick, isn't it? A bit more. And mix that together. Once again, you'll end up with sort of a deep purple. I know there's a group out there called Deep Purple. Yeah, I know. Wash your brush out, but make sure that when you wash that brush out, you take most of that water out of that brush. So it can all soak up inside that metal ferrule there. They could drip down the ferrule inside and then through them bristles on the end, which will then dilute the paint even further. So make sure you give it really thorough dry before you go to the next colour. And then a bit of yellow. They're still dulling it down. Yellow, yellow. So from here on, it's a matter of just changing the properties back and forth until you get the colour mix that you want. And already, as you can see, that's quite a dark colour, just by using the same 3 colours, but to a creamy mix. That's all I'm working with here. Let me give you another example here. This is one I did earlier. And you can see from this one, we've got Scarlet Lake and lemon yellow with indigo, and that gives us a really dark colour, again mixed to a creamy consistency. But when we use indigo, you can see we've got a different brown there as well, rather than using ultramarine blue. So as I mentioned, see what colours you've got for your yellows, your blues and your reds within your half pans or your tube paints, whichever you've got there. And see what colours that you can make up with those mixes, just something like that. Okay, let's work on a very basic painting, alright? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the blue, instead of having the ultramarine blue, let's go for some indigo instead. So we're still going to have 3 primary colours there. I've already popped the indigo where that ultramarine was. What I need to do is make some green first of all, so I'm going to go for some yellow. Pop that in there. We've got a bit of colour in there already. Like. Not red, no, that's orange. What are you talking about? Yellow and blue, of course. A little bit of blue, and there's some green straight away. Look at that. What a lovely colour that is. And that is something like this here, look. Look at that. Oh, yeah. If you want it slightly brighter than that, it gets a little bit more yellow, look. I'll pop that in. Just to brighten it a little bit more. That's better, look. I think I'll keep it like that. I also want some brown as well. Now, if you remember with brown, to mix that, you're looking at Scarlet Lake, Lemon Yellow, and Indigo, or some other combinations of those 3 primary colours as well, of course. And as you can see, that's a lovely brown there by mixing the 3 primary colours. So now I want a purple. So for the purple, I'm going to go for blue. Just a touch of red. I don't know, probably 50-50, who knows. And then we end up with something which is slightly lighter than that one there. I'm going to find a large brush and start wetting the paper down. Now bear in mind, my paper hasn't been stretched or anything like that, so it will bend, it will warp, it will cockle, which is a proper term when paper twists and bends. And because it's going to cockle, I know it's a funny word, I know that, but it's a word that people do use. Because it's going to cockle, what will happen is it's going to all twist and bend and go out of shape. But if you're doing this as a full-on painting, you want to stretch that paper first of all, or use a block pad. This paper, by the way, is made by St Cuthbert's Mill, and this is their Bockingford brand. It's a cold pressed paper. It's not cotton or anything like that, but it's just a lovely paper to work with. I've been using Bockingford for many, many years. Once it's soaked in, then we're ready to start adding the colours over the top. Well, I'm going to start off with the blue. So indigo first of all. I'm going to start off with the sky. Whoa! Look how bright that is. Oh, that's rich. Take most of the paint off the brush. Let's get them out of the way. Take most of the paint off the brush. Then move it around and leave gaps in between. Simple as this, look. A very, very easy painting. Nothing flash, nothing perfect. We don't care. A little bit of fun, that's all it is. For that, I'm going to add a bit of brown in there as well. Just a touch of brown just around here. I've got a very old brush here, size 18. I've had it for donkey's years. How does a donkey know? I've got no idea. So add a bit of foreground in there. A bit of purple. Add that within here as well. Move it around, mix it. Blend it in. Bit of purple. Some blue in there as well, just to darken some of that purple down. Bit more brown. Change the colours, change the properties that we can see in there. I know. It's all about having fun with it, really. Then in the middle ground and foreground, grab a little bit of green and start plastering that on. Working with horizontal strokes. And we can add a bit of brown in there as well. A little bit of brown. This will blend as it dries as well, keeping those horizontal marks like that one. As simple as that. Yeah. Now before it dries, I'm going to go for another brush. This is a size 6. And I want to put some basic hills in there. Very basic hills. Like this one. Look at this. Mountains, hills, whatever you want in there, it's entirely up to you. Probably a bigger brush might work. It's all about playing with those paints. That's all I'm doing here. Playing with the paints. Look at that. Oh, I know. Then you can bring that down a little bit lower if you want to. This is going to be a blurry sort of mountain at the back. And bring some horizontal strokes through now. I want this to blend as it dries. Take a little bit of paint off in places if it's too much. And a lot of this will get covered over very shortly with our deeper colours. Bit of yellow, just in the foreground down here. Just to change the properties slightly more. Make it nice and bright. And that is a very, very basic background. So all we need to do now is give it a blast with a hairdryer. And once it's nice and dry, we'll add a few more details over the top. Okay, that's just about dry. So what I'm going to do is make up another colour, but this is going to be our dark colour. You know what to do with that? So it's going to be our blue, so the indigo. We'll also need some red in there as well. Might get a little bit more. And out of interest, all that is something like that there. Look at that. Okay, first of all, I'm going to go for the brown. And my size 6 brush. So quite a large brush, really. We'll start to create some hillocks. some mountains or hills, whatever you want to call it. Hillocks. Oh dear. Very wiggly lines is all I'm using here, look. Bringing it down to the horizon, something like that, I don't know. Then the same on the other side. What I want to do is sort of fill this in now and get more or less-ish a straightish horizontal line for the horizon there, look. Ish. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can use masking tape or anything like that if you want to in order to create that horizontal line. It's entirely up to you, of course, what you do with that. Bit of brown. Fill it in. And you can add a bit of blue in there if you want to as well. Just change the properties slightly more in places. So we don't want it all the same in there, do we? Change it around. Just into there. Leaving gaps in between, of course. Then once you've got that on, get yourself a clean brush, bit of kitchen roll and dry it off nearly. Then you can start to lift off a little bit of paint in places to create some shapes within this hill, mountain, hillock. Think of the highlights, think about where the sun is shining from, just catching the tops as you can see here. So lifting paint off all the time, but leaving plenty of that dark paint on as well, of course. Can't not leave that on. No. Then also in here you can get a little bit of our dark colour and start to create some basic shapes within here. Say for example, I don't know, there's a tree or bushes or anything like that we can see there. Little tiny taps. Just gives an impression that there's something there, doesn't it? Bit of foliage, bit of growth. Here and there, keep changing those colours. Then on the other side, we can keep it low if you want to. It doesn't have to be the same height. Quickly block that one in. Oh, I need some more brown now. Get some scrap watercolour paper and use that as a guide. Don't touch it right to the edge of that. And this is where you can just add a little bit of a straighter line by following that as a guide all the way along. So I'm definitely too high on that side there, look. Grab your dark colour again. So it's more on the blue side than the black side really. Just dotting a few basic odd shapes here and there, just above that horizon. And not give an impression of trees or bushes or anything like that in the background. You need to vary it. You're trying to create different planes, aren't you here? Not an aeroplane. No. You know what I mean. Of course you do. I'm going to change the brush to a size 2. Load the brush up, give it a roll, give it a tap or two. And then we can start to add some basic details on the foreground. Here we go. So all I'm going to do, think about horizontally again. And you're going to create some basic shapes like this. So it needs to do a lot. And all this does is adds a bit more interest to the middle ground and the foreground just by doing this. This is just to begin with though. So bear with me on this, okay? If you use a dry brush technique as well, in other words, there's hardly any paint on this brush lot. And now I'm starting to catch the texture of that paper. Just graze the surface of the paper. And all I'm doing is lowering my brush down like that. Giving it quite low. And that's adding more texture to that foreground here. Then we can do the same with the green as well. Bit too much, give it a strike. Use your finger. There you go. Look at that texture. Oh, lovely. So when you first load it, put those lines in first of all, and then when it starts to run out of paint, add some texture into that foreground and also the middle ground as well. But not quite as much further away. Carrying with the green, I'm going to start adding some basic blades of grass, as you can see, starting from the foreground. Then the further away you go, the smaller the blades of grass will become. All I'm doing is flicking up like that. And try not to overload the brush as well. Too much paint on the brush and you find that your lines are far too wide. Let's go all the way across the bottom. 1 second. And also a little tip, when you work on blades of grass, something as basic as these anyway, start from the bottom and flick up. Just that way around you get a nice tapered tip to those blades of grass. Too long that one. Bit of brown, add that to the green. It's a very dull looking green, more like an olive green that one, isn't it? Add a few of those in there as well, just to vary it. And also don't forget, the closer they are to you, the longer and wider those blades of grass will be. So I'm going to darken it on this side. Do the same on the other side if you want to. It's your painting, you can do whatever you want with it. And I think using our dark colour or the sort of blacky, bluey, reddy, yellowy colour. I think we need a tree in there. I don't know about you. So I'm going to put one. I don't know. What do I reckon down here? Yeah, go on then. Let's start down. Start down here and give it a wiggle and a jiggle as you work it up, and then bring it all the way and flick out. The same on the other side. So paint it the way a tree grows. I think the old Bob Ross used to say that, didn't he? Paint it how a tree grows, because at least that way around, it's going to be thicker at the bottom, which it will be in a minute, don't worry. Like that though. And then thinner the higher up it goes, like that. When you get to the top branches, make sure there's hardly any paint on that brush though. At least that way, you get some nice, fine lines as you do that. Probably put a little one down here as well. Little baby one there, look. There you go. Take most of the paint off. Then start to flick out some very fine lines. And I think this is going to be an autumn or winter tree because it's going to be completely leafless. And give it something to stand on. So a bit of a base down there as well. A bit of black mixed in with that. So it then looks part of the ground, doesn't it? This looks really flat, doesn't it? I mean, you can add a bit more of a wash over the top of that. If you want to, of course. Just by putting this one extra layer on, you can see the difference that's made. So if I get a larger brush, let's go with size 6. I'm going to go back to other colours. Let's have a look around here. Could go for a bit of brown. Add that into the green. I'm going to water that down quite a lot. So it's really, really watery. And then you can use that to add another sort of area like that, just to vary the way it looks within the ground. So it's not all the same on there. Take some of the paint off, then a little bit more in places. A bit too samey, wasn't it? That just varies it slightly, really does. Flick up a few little lines here and there in that damp paint. And that is a very, very basic painting, as you can see. Working with just the 3 primary colours. Oh, I missed a bit there, look. Oh, well, never mind. It's only play painting. How about learning how to paint a seascape by using a limited palette? Fancy having a go at that? I'll pop the link to the top right hand corner of the screen for you, okay? I'll see you there.